Samsung's upcoming foldable phones, the Galaxy Z Flip 7 and Z Fold 7, are set to be unveiled in just a couple of months, and the biggest question surrounding these devices, what chips they'll use, might finally have an answer. According to a detailed new Korean media report, the mystery may be solved, and it looks like Samsung is taking a bold new step, especially with the Z Flip 7. Let's start with the Galaxy Z Flip 7. If the sources cited in the report are correct, this phone will bring a major shift in strategy. For the first time in the history of Samsung's foldables, the Z Flip 7 might use a Samsung-made Exynos processor, the Exynos 2500, instead of the usual Qualcomm Snapdragon chip. This would mark a historic first for the Galaxy Z Flip and Fold lineup, which has always relied on Snapdragon chips up until now. Why the change? Well, from a business point of view, using their own Exynos chip makes sense for Samsung. It could reduce production costs and make the company less dependent on Qualcomm, especially at a time when the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2 is expected to power next year's Galaxy S26 lineup. Lowering reliance on Qualcomm might also give Samsung more room to negotiate or push for lower chip pricing in the future. But there's a flip side to this decision: consumers. Samsung's Exynos chips don't exactly have a glowing reputation in the smartphone community, especially among users who prioritize performance and stability. The Exynos 2500 in particular had a rough start. It was initially intended for the Galaxy S25 series, but those plans reportedly changed due to production yield issues. Although recent reports say production has stabilized somewhat, it's understandable if buyers are still skeptical. And then there's performance. Early reports suggest that while the Z Flip 7 will be faster than the Flip 6, the improvement might not be significant. The Exynos 2500 is not expected to outperform Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Elite. That means if the price remains the same or goes higher, users might feel like they're not getting much of an upgrade, especially since last year's Flip 6 featured the powerful Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. Meanwhile, the story is quite different for the Galaxy Z Fold 7. This device is expected to stick with Qualcomm's top-tier chip, the Snapdragon 8 Elite, just like the Galaxy S25 Ultra. This decision is consistent with nearly every rumor and leak we've seen in the past few months. So, in terms of performance, the Z Fold 7 will definitely be competing at the highest level of all the major Android flagships of 2025. In fact, the difference in chipsets between the Flip 7 and Fold 7 could make things a bit awkward. On one hand, you have a premium foldable with the latest Snapdragon chip. On the other hand, the more compact Flip could be seen as cutting corners with the Exynos 2500. This could influence how buyers perceive value between the two models. Both the Z Flip 7 and Z Fold 7 are expected to enter production in May, with Samsung reportedly aiming to produce 200,000 units of the Flip 7 by June. That's not a huge number, but it does give Samsung some flexibility. If demand turns out to be strong and there are no issues with the Exynos chip or other components, production can be ramped up quickly. Interestingly, the report doesn't mention much about the third foldable that's been rumored for 2025, the budget-friendly Galaxy Z Flip FE, or possibly Z Flip 7 FE or Z Flip XE. The silence on that front might suggest that this model could launch later than the other two. Earlier leaks had hinted that the Flip AE would be powered by an older Exynos 2400 processor, making it a more affordable option for those who want a foldable experience without the flagship price tag. So, to sum it up, Samsung's Galaxy Z Flip 7 is likely to feature the Exynos 2500 chip, marking the first time a Flip model uses Samsung's in-house processor. It's a cost-saving move, but one that might not sit well with every consumer, especially those who value peak performance. Meanwhile, the Galaxy Z Fold 7 will go the traditional route with Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Elite, ensuring top-tier power and a more familiar user experience. With production ramping up and official reveal expected in July, the countdown to Samsung's next foldables has begun. Whether the Exynos gamble pays off remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: 2025 is going to be an interesting year for foldable smartphones.